Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Science and Community Stage, day 3. If you've not been to this stage before, welcome. I'm Jamie and I organise a programme of events on this little section. And this is a space where we showcase the amazing talents and knowledge and skill set among the fandom. We have been exploring strange new rocks, we've dived into exolinguistics, and now we're turning to the wonderful world of cosplay, where before your very eyes, our Cardassian will materialise. And so I just want to say thank you for coming along, thank you for supporting these events. I believe that Sam and Serena will be taking questions throughout. We do have a roving microphone, we'll get that to you. So please do ask lots of questions, find out all the information that you need to produce your own cosplays as well. Normally I would say welcome to the stage, but they're already on the stage. So let's just show our appreciation for them being on stage. Welcome Sam and Serena.
Hello, how are you all feeling? Sunday morning, still feeling strong, still feeling excited, feeling good? Yeah, good.
It's okay, you don't have to have any high energy for this one, we're going to chill. I'm Sam, and this is Serena.
I am indeed.
And we met last year, both cosplaying Cardassians. We are quite enthusiastic cosplayers and quite excited to be doing this morning. We are taking questions more or less all throughout. I'm going to explain a little bit what I'm doing. If I'm doing something and somebody wants to ask, what is that? Let me know. All sorts of questions, makeup questions, cosplay questions, Star Trek questions. We will sit and talk about our favourite things about Star Trek as well, quite happily. I'm going to get battered in though. So 45 minutes to do this talk, 45 minutes to do my makeup. I don't usually talk during my makeup, so let's see if we can get this done. I've got all sorts of different makeup. If you want to know the specific makeup, ask me. But I'm going to start off doing my neck, get all the base layers done, and get into the details in a minute.
Any questions to start us off with? Anything about cosplay makeup? Anyone got a specific cosplay they're thinking of doing? Yeah?
Do you use anything under the makeup to stop the dye going into your skin?
I have never had a problem with makeup specifically dyeing my skin. My lipstick is lip stained, so it usually does not come off very well, but I've already put on primer before I started this, just for a little bit of skin nourishing, more than anything else.
I think for me, I've only ever used like water-based paints, you know, like things like Snazaroo, stuff like that, and they don't tend to stain. But I know that some of the oil-based, the alcohol-based paints.
The green Snazaroo can stain quite badly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I've not.
I had a friend who did a Hulk cosplay. Rugby player, full paint, full body. It was months. So behind years, it was bad. I don't know. Primer is a good start, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like, I think when you're doing face paint, I always like to put a bit of moisturiser on, I think, as well, because I don't know, I think it makes everything come out a bit smoother. So I think one of the problems I always have with face paint, which if anyone else said I put it on, I feel like you'll all know what I'm talking about, the streaks. The streaks, you know, you always end up with that. And I think like putting a little bit of moisturiser, a bit of primer, helps everything stick to your skin, helps everything be smoothed out. But yeah, was there a specific cosplay you were thinking of doing that you were interested in? It's general question, yeah. Any other questions? Any questions? No? Okay. Do you want to talk through what you're doing now?
Yep. So we're doing Cardassian makeup today. That's my standard. So darker on the neck gives you a little bit more definition around the jaw. I'm just putting on the base layers, so I'll do all my base layers first. A little bit of setting powder to keep it on, and then start shading in various.
Setting powder is basically just, it helps to keep everything in place, helps to make you look a bit less shiny, you know, makes you look a little bit less oily.
And helps with transfer, so nothing's like, we do the awkward hug where we're hugging like this.
Every time at con, we go in for a hug and it's
so
like,
you don't
oh my god.
Transfer.
It's like, oh my god.
Setting powder helps not like that happen.
Yeah, it's always the balance of being very excited to see each other and also not wanting to, you know, mess up your friend's cosplay. I've been doing cosplay for about 6 years. The first cosplay I ever did was, I did a very, very basic kind of, you know, just uniform, and then I did a little DIY kind of Klingon belt, and you know, did it on with eyeshadow, the forehead ridges, and I've done a lot of different cosplays, but my preference generally is to do Star Trek cosplays. One, because there are so many brilliant costumes and character designs in Star Trek. I mean, I really think it makes or breaks it, doesn't it? You know, I think it really does. It sets the tone of the show. I mean, you think about a show like DS9, you know, everything in that show speaks to, you know, what the show is about and who the characters are. You know, you can look at every single character and understand something about who they are by the way they dress, like Quark, you know? I mean, what an incredible character design, you know? That all these sort of weird patterns, you know, this combination of things that you wouldn't normally expect to see, but it works so well. So yeah, I generally, Star Trek is my you know, my big passion for cosplay. Last year, might have seen me walking around if any of you were here. I was doing Garrick, but specifically Armand Bashir Garrick, so with a tuxedo, Cardassian in a tuxedo, that was me last year. And also I think one of the things I like about Star Trek cosplay is the fact that it's such a welcoming environment. I think anyone here who's done cosplay at a Star Trek con can, you know, knows what I'm talking about. You know, people are so interested, they're so supportive, you know, there's not sort of, I feel like there's a little bit, to me at least, there's a bit less pressure than you get at maybe a general con, you know, if you're just going to a generic Comic-Con. I feel like there's a little bit less of that pressure or that expectation to be like exactly like it is on screen. Or, you know, if people can see what you're doing and they like it, you know, the enthusiasm and the love is just there. You know, like me and my friend, my Beverly is there, my lovely Beverly. we're doing Tiana and Beverly today from, you know, that iconic workout scene. You know, they've done another little gag on it on Lower Decks recently. You know, but I think that's, you know, and you know, people are interested in seeing what you're doing. And if you're communicating the idea you want to communicate to them, that's all that really matters. You know, people are very, very welcoming, and I think that's something you don't really get anywhere else. You know, you get it a bit in other cons, maybe, you know, other sort of communities, but Star Trek is this really, really special and unique place. I think, you know, Star Trek conventions, and if you've been to one, you know what I mean.
So, base layers on, and start. So I start with putting in just a quick outline of what I'm wanting to do. This is going to work for some of my shadows as well, which helps with my 3D effect. A lot of people ask how it looks 2D and stuff, so I did illustration and art and design at college, so I learned how to paint and do things like that, and it's all kind of transferable into my makeup. But this is a very quick, just marking where I'm going, and it'll help me with my shadows in a little bit, but I'm gonna keep going just now. Does anyone have any questions? I can see questions. We'll get the mic to you just now.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. How do you work out your colours and get them to be what you want them to be?
So for Cardassians, it's nice and easy. We're just grayscale. So I have my 3 foundations. One is black, one is grey, one is white. Start with grey. Black for shadows and white for highlights, so it's very straightforward for this one. But if you're doing Andorians, Orions, all sorts of interesting ones, it's a little bit of colour theory. That's a scary word for some people. Just what works. So if you're doing an Orion, a nice highlight colour is yellow, because colour theory stuff, I'm not going to go into that, I'm not doing an art class today. But there are, if you look really closely at all the references in the show, if you get really good pictures, you can pick up just those little differences in the colour. And it is very artsy trying to work out your colours, but once you've got them, you'll know they're right. So experiment with all your makeup and try it and see it's like, will yellow work with this? Give it a go, and you go yes or no. And if you say no, then you just try again. It's a lot of trial and error, lots of experimentation. The more complicated obviously your makeup is, the more you're going to have to think about your colours. We were just chatting earlier, the lovely company I get these from has just done a dark grey, that I'm going to have to get because it's going to be brilliant.
I am such a big advocate of just try it. It does not, if you're someone who's never done Facebook before, if you're someone who hasn't done, oh, we've got one there. Yeah. If you're someone who's never done Facebook before, who's never really done cosplay before, just try it. Genuinely, it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't matter if it's a bit patchy. It doesn't matter if there's a few bits you're staring at and you're conscious of and you're thinking, oh, it's not quite what I wanted. Because I think the only way as well that I've found that I can see such a difference in when I started doing cosplay to now. But the only reason I can see that difference is because when I started, I didn't go, oh, I'm not going to do this ever again. You know, you just gotta try it. You know, you've got to try it and figure it out through, as you were saying, you know, trial and error through actually doing the cosplays. And I think, you know, I mean, you learn new things all the time. And I literally learned something new this morning. I was doing my makeup. I was putting this eyeshadow on. And for some reason, I'd never worked out that I could actually blend my eyeshadow with my fingers. I don't know why. It seems like a very obvious thing. But I was there and I was like, oh, this looks a bit, you know. And then I was like, I have a tool here that seems like it could be useful, you know. So, you know, I don't think you ever stop learning with cosplay. You're always getting better. You're always improving.
Massively, yeah. I've been doing Cardassians for 3 years now. And looking back at my first cosplay outing as a Cardassian, it's wildly different than what I do now. Not bad, I was quite happy at the time, and I'm really happy with how much practice I've been able to get in doing this and what it's come to. But yeah, trial and error practice. There's nothing wrong with sitting in your house putting cosplay makeup on just for practice. You can do that, it's allowed. Sorry, questions?
Pros and cons of Snazaroo.
Pros and cons of different brands of makeup and different types of makeup. So Snazaroo is really good face paint. It is very generic face paint. It's water-based. My problem when I was doing full Snazaroo makeup was after a few hours it starts to crack. So when you do full days, like I've been doing like 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning the next day. You want it to stay on your face and you want it to stay comfortable on your face. So what I've got is actually coloured foundation. So it's nice and light, but it still gives you the colour and you still do all different things with it. So personally, because I do it quite often, and because I'm doing very long days a lot of the time, this is better for me. But if you're doing a couple hours at a con, a local con, 3 or 4 hours, there's nothing wrong with like normal Snazaroo or other water-based face paint. It's just whatever suits. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, one thing that I was thinking while you were talking is that I know for me, I just like, you know, for most of the time I've been doing cosplay, I've not had the money to get, you know, maybe those products that work a little bit better, that stay on longer. And Snazaroo is such a good place to start because I mean, I don't know how much they're, like £3, £4, £5 per pot, and those things last for ages, you know. Forever, you know. I think I have a white Snazaroo. I think I literally got 4 years ago, and it's still going, you know. So I think things like those water-based paints and, you know, just stuff you get from things like, you know, Superdrug, they're a great place to start because it, you know, it's a much more affordable, accessible option for everyone because cosplay shouldn't just be, you know, people who have, you know, lots of money to spend on things, you know, it's cosplay is for everyone. So I think that's a really good sort of budget option. And then, you know, if you have got the choice of maybe buying those you know, slightly sort of more longer lasting, better products, then, you know, you can do that too, but I think it's very personal.
Yeah, have you ever used Copydex?
No, I haven't. No, what's that?
Right.
I'd be interested.
Copydex is it's a rubbery glue, but it's actually liquid latex.
I've literally never heard of that. You do just learn things all the time.
Yeah. So Serena is here a large part because Serena can do prosthetics, which I absolutely cannot do. So all prosthetics questions are going to be covered. But yeah, while we've been talking, I've been marking in the various scales for my ridges. I've got a nice square brush. You've got those nice square scales and it's just going in one by one. Biggest problem, making them vaguely symmetrical. Okay. We got any other questions?
Any other questions? Anyone? Oh, yeah.
How would you suggest doing like Klingon ridges? What would you say is a good way to start with that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think it's a pretty similar process for most, you know, most prosthetics. The shape's obviously the thing that's going to change, you know, depending if you're doing Klingon, Cardassian, Andorian, whatever. But you know, the way I did it wasn't all that expensive. The way I did my Cardassian ridges last year. I bought, you know, like, you see, I don't know if anyone's seen these on Amazon. They have these sort of like heads that you can put flat on a table. So the back's flat and the front is like a, you know, it's like a plastic face basically. And they're normally used by, I think, like people like eyelash technicians for practice. So I bought one of those. And obviously the ideal, you know, would be if you can have you know, a live cast. I don't know if anyone was in Lydia's talk yesterday, but she was speaking about that and how she had to sit for like 5 hours and have this, you know, all this stuff on her head to get a live cast made. Yeah, you know, obviously that would be the ideal. But I, you know, like I think a lot of people didn't have, you know, the money or resources or space for that. So that's a really, really good, easy way to do it, is just getting one of those plastic heads. And then, so different people do it different ways. The way I chose to do it was I got, like just clay, like normal, and I think it's the air dry clay, not like the oven baked clay. And then what I was doing is I was moulding. So, like for example, with the Klingon forehead ridges, you probably want to mould, one piece, and then I use a little bit of glue, stick it onto the head, and I did that with each individual piece. And then that's the hard bit. The shaping of each piece from the clay is the difficult bit. Again, just it's air dry clay. Find it on Amazon, craft stores. So you shape each piece. You put it where you want roughly on the. on the got to keep an eye on the time. Put it roughly where you want on the face, so obviously forehead for Klingon, and then after that, that's the kind of the hard bit done. You get liquid air dry latex, again I think mine was maybe £10-15 on Amazon, not too bad, and you get like a makeup sponge or just a washing up sponge that you've chopped up, and you do really, really thin layers. So I did about 5 or 6 layers of latex for my Garrett cosplay last year. So you'll do one thin layer, and you just very carefully dab it over all the shapes you've made. You let it dry, you do it again, and then to pull it off the mould, something that's really useful. You have to be quite careful because it's a little bit delicate. It's not as delicate as you think though. I think when I first started doing it, I was sort of like, I was scared to breathe on it, because I thought it'd be so delicate. But as long as you've done a few layers of that liquid latex, it's pretty durable. And a good way to get it off is you use a little makeup brush, soft makeup brush, and a baby powder, and you dip the brush in the baby powder, and then as you're sort of trying to do motions with my hands, and I can't because I've got to, hang on, I'm just gonna lean so I can do the motions with my hands. You use the brush to almost tease the prosthetic off the mould, and you add more baby powder as you go. What that also means is the prosthetic doesn't stick to itself, because latex will stick to itself. So imagine you're peeling something off and you drop part of it onto a different part, and it's really hard to get off once it's stuck on there. So you want to just basically slather everything in baby powder at all times with prosthetics. That's always good. And then, for example, with the Klingon ridges, you might not need it as much, maybe. But I found that with the Cardassians, because obviously you've got these scales, you've got all the little individual lumps. And what I did after I peeled it off the mould was I turned it inside out, and I dripped more latex inside of each individual scale, because what I was finding was, because the layer was thin and you've got this dome shape, and it kept like concaving, so it was like I did a first attempt, and that was sort of not as good, and that was one of the problems I was having, was it kept going in on itself. So you turn it inside out, and you just dip a bit more latex inside, and that strengthens all the individual shapes that you've made. Some people also, if you've got a really big shape, I'm trying to think, maybe if you're doing like maybe Andorian forehead, some people also use toilet paper and latex, and that will strengthen like those bigger shapes. But yeah, I say definitely go for it. Yeah, you'd be a great Balana.
And don't feel like you absolutely have to make it all yourself. There are definitely places you can buy these things if you have the money to do that. It's a big kind of project if you want to do that for the first time. And play around with it, give it a go, definitely. But if you want one that you feel more confident wearing, there's nothing wrong with buying stuff. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not doing it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely, there's definitely. I don't know. I haven't seen Cardassian. I haven't seen Orion. But I've definitely seen Etsy. Etsy's great for cosplay stuff. Definitely seen Klingon ridges on Etsy, and I've seen Vulcan ears as well. I think the reason that I did my Cardassian project is because they're harder to find, aren't they? They are hard to find.
We are quite niche.
Yeah.
We're niche.
Have you got any other Cardassian fans in the audience? Yeah, okay, good. We're not alone. This is good news. Are any of you who are Cardassian fans, would any of you ever consider cosplaying Cardassian at one point? You ever, Yeah, good. Is there a specific Cardassian you'd like to do? Yeah, no, they're very, very cool.
We all love Andrew Robbins. He's fantastic.
Oh. We can but hope and pray that at some point he comes back to the UK. yeah, they're very, very interesting species. I think the Cardassians, and I love that. I love the prosthetics, and I love I really like Star Trek aliens that look and feel very alien. You know, I really enjoy that when they feel so kind of otherly, and I feel like I really enjoy that kind of the sort of the reptilian look of the Cardassians is just so great.
DS9 is brilliant for it because you get the Cardassians primarily and the Jem'Hadar, which are very interesting, different, and very alien. Please put up your hand if you have questions. We were going to try and get around all of you in the last 15 minutes, so just keep your hand up and we'll get to you, okay?
Any questions? Any questions? Anyone got some cosplay? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what's the next cosplay I'd like to try? Ooh, this is, I haven't even thought about this. This is a great question. Okay, I don't know if anyone's going Warp 1. I'm going to Warp 1. I'm planning to do an Orion for that. I'm actually trying out some new paint. I had a bit of I splashed out, it's pricey, but I got some Krylon, like green face and body paint and their setting spray. So I'm planning to do an Orion for that, which will be fun. I'm not overly looking forward to being, painted from head to toe all day. Prosthetics wise, I would love to do, I did an Andorian yesterday, and I basically just covered my forehead with my fringe, so I didn't have to worry about the fact I didn't have, the forehead.
That's valid.
Yeah. So sometimes that's a good way to do it, if you don't feel like doing it, just big fringe. But I would, at some point, I'd love to do, the accurate, the Andorian forehead. I can tell you what I do want to do. I really want to do a proper accurate where you can cosplay, the water ears. But I'm struggling to figure out how I'm going to mould them because, like I was explaining, I've got this plastic head, but it sits so obviously the face is up, and then the ears on the side. So I don't know, maybe I have to get another one and cut it in half or something, and then put it so the ears are, are facing up.
I have done one attempt at Cardassian military armour.
Yeah.
It was okay. I want to do it again better. That's definitely on the list.
That was really great. And you said you made that out of a yoga mat, right?
It was a yoga mat. It was a yoga mat and lots of glue and spray paint. And it was a bit too wide, so I couldn't really move my arms properly. It looked good in pictures. It was not fun to walk around in.
Yeah, but things like that. I mean, I've seen such a great array of cosplays and people using all sorts of different things. Household objects. To do cosplay, there's no, like you were saying earlier, there really is no wrong or right way to do it. If it works for you and you can get the look you're after, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be, specific materials. It really is just, and I think as well. Not that it is for everyone, but I'm such a big proponent of, and when I say it's not for everyone, I mean as in not everyone wants to do cosplay. Cosplay is for everyone who wants to do it. But I'm such a big proponent of just giving it a go because honestly, it just gives you that sort of instant connection with other people. I mean, obviously here, people are wearing years of Rise. We've got some cosplay, we've got some uniforms, we've got t-shirts. Some people have got some great makeup and earrings. Everyone does their own thing. But as soon as you see that badge, you see that t-shirt, it's like this instant sort of connection. And cosplay is like that as well, just maybe in a slightly different way. And I think it's also. One of my favourite things about it is it's a really nice way almost to give back to the actors. You were with me actually, one of my favourite experiences I've ever had. I cosplayed, if anyone knows Red Dwarf? Any Red Dwarf fans? Yeah, good. I met Hattie Hayridge in the autumn, and I cosplayed Holly. I had a black bodysuit and I did a box head, and she was so, I think as well because it may be more niche character, maybe not many people would do that cosplay, and she was so lovely, and she was really happy to see that, it's such a nice way to say, look, I love this thing you did so much, I loved your character so much that I put all this work into trying to, put together an outfit and, to show my appreciation. So I think that's one of the things I love about it as well, is, they're here giving their time to spend with us, and it's kind of a nice way to be like, oh, this is kind of my way of giving that back.
I'm going to be completely honest, I've left my lipstick in the room, so this will have to be fixed later, but I'm doing it with free speech, so it'll be fine.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
Rachel, you'll never find it. The room is chaos. You have no idea how many bits of makeup are in that room. So, for a quick update on what I've been doing, white highlights, black shadows, it just brings out all those little details, and then a little bit extra shading with it's grey makeup palette, just to bring all the details together. And I'm going to pretend I've got lipstick on for the next 5 minutes.
But yeah, I think as well, that's actually that kind of raises a good point actually, the fact of I think anyone. I feel like it's an assumption. If you're going to a Comic-Con and you're going to do cosplay, you have forgotten something. I don't. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. You have forgotten something. I know. I know, because every time. Oh, what was it, Friday? Me and my Beverly, we had to go on a little excursion because I forgot my belt. I had to have a little drive off to Hobbycraft. Like you were saying, you haven't got your lipstick, but it's. I think it really makes you quite inventive and creative, finding solutions to those problems.
Yeah, this will do just now. Can see a question.
Is there an online resource, like a forum or a website or anything like that you would find useful for beginners, with hints and tips? Everything you've spoken about today, brand names for stuff, like links to this Etsy prosthetics thing. And is there like a one-stop shop that you would recommend for beginners?
I'm trying to rack my brain for somewhere specific. I don't think there's like one massive collective of information, because that would be far too easy. There never is. But I mean, Pinterest is amazing for ideas. Facebook groups, there's a few UK-wide Facebook groups that are cosplay specific, and everybody's chatting away and knows about different things. I can't think of a specific website or forum or something that has resources listed. Can you?
No, I haven't. But actually, that question has made me think maybe I should make one. Maybe I should make one. Yeah, because I mean, I think it's. I suppose you sort of think to yourself, because you're always kind of like, well, people can look, but then it can be quite hard sometimes finding those specific products or those specific, the process and stuff. So maybe I'll probably be remaking my Cardassian prosthetics at some point. So that's actually it's a really good point. Actually, maybe I should make one. Yeah, a blog or something that has everything that I've talked about on. Yeah.
Despite there not being a specific forum, a specific website, I don't think there's a single cosplayer I've ever met that is not happy to sit and talk to you about how to do things, or give you ideas, or give you hints and tips. It's the whole point of why we even suggested doing this, was to talk about cosplay and give hints and tips and things. Because people ask, and you want to talk about it. Everyone wants to talk about makeup and costumes and ideas. We're a creative fandom. So if you're ever stuck, find your local cosplayer. They'll be happy to chat to you, I can almost guarantee it. Or message anyone. I mean, if you're online and you follow people, drop them a message. No one minds getting a message going, "Hi, how do you do this?" We've done it. I've done it. We've done it. Yeah. Friendly cosplay community for the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, that was something I meant to say earlier, actually. But if anyone who's come to this talk has any other questions, or if you want any specific links or anything I talked about, or anything I can help with, I'm always more than happy to stop and chat and and help in whatever way I can, because I think cosplay to me is another form of art. It's just a form of art that you put on yourself, rather than putting on rather than maybe creating something. It's a form of art that you put together on on yourself as a character. And I'm such a big, such a big advocate of anyone who wants to, even no matter what it is, if it's simple, if it's complex, it is always worth trying. It is always worth doing, because the experiences I've had, because this is the whole reason I'm doing this with you guys, is because I do cosplay. The experiences you get with actors, with other fans, it really is very, very special. So yeah, I'm always more than happy to chat to anyone who's interested in what it is.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, putting the earrings
back in. Yeah, take your earrings out before you do your makeup, girl.
Yes, yeah.
And guys, and everybody in between, because don't paint your earrings.
There's a lot of blue on the silver hoops I was wearing yesterday. Have we got any more questions? Oh yeah. Oh, we got There she is.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Can I ask you, what's been your most challenging cosplay to do and why?
Absolutely. So I would say, honestly, probably Garrick last year. The outfit, very, very simple, very easy. But I saying about cosplay, I was very intimidating doing prosthetics for the first time. I mean, I'd wanted to do Garrick for basically since I'd seen the show, I'd wanted to do Garrick, but I'd always kind of put it off because I was very just intimidated by the prospect of it. So honestly, probably that one, purely because I put it off for so long, and then just the kind of having to get over that kind of that mental block, that mental barrier, which I think everyone does themselves sometimes. You sort of have this almost unconscious thing where you just sort of you convince yourself that no, you can't actually do that. That's just not going to happen. So I think just having to get past that and then be like, wait, oh, okay, actually this is fine, actually, you know. And definitely the amount of time, prosthetics are a little bit of a commitment in terms of you have to have a space, you know, to work in, and then you have to leave it there when it dries. So yeah, probably that last year. Thank you for your question.
This weekend for me, definitely, despite doing this makeup three times now, I did a trill on Friday night. And painting from here to here was fine. Painting the sides of my legs was fine. I decided I was going to paint the sides of my waist. That was a terrible idea. That was the most difficult thing I have done in cosplay, possibly this year. Because that's really, get your friends to help you. This is allowed, and I forget. Yeah. Get your friends to help you.
We got about another 5 minutes. Any more questions?
Yeah. What is the brand of the foundation, please?
So, my makeup, it's a small business from America. It is called Sunset Makeup. And what this is colourful foundation. They have, it's not just grey stuff, they have every colour of the rainbow. I've got the colourful setting powder as well to go with it, so that my setting powder doesn't take the colour out of my makeup, because when I started doing this I was using regular
like skin colour,
and it started making kind of peachy, and that's really not what you want when you want to do a really colourful thing. And it's the same as well. This is a palette from Sunset Makeup as well. I just think they're really, really pigmented, really useful. They are a bit on the pricey side. It's an investment, but that's lasted me, half of that's done me a year, and I've done my makeup maybe a dozen times at least, and it is quite full coverage. I use a lot of it. So if you want to go and check them out, they're really good.
Any more questions?
Not sponsored. Not sponsored.
Not, definitely not, no. Any more? Yeah? One there?
Oh, sorry.
Hi, do you prefer setting powders or setting spray?
I personally prefer setting powder, because if you're using oil-based makeup or foundation, it takes the stickiness away, it takes the
tacky, isn't it?
The tackiness away. And like so I've done my makeup now, I've put the setting powder on and I can do that to my face and it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
So I've never actually tried a setting spray, so I may have to think about that, because I've seen them and I happen to have a nice colourful one that works with what I do, but I've never tried a setting spray. Have you tried a setting spray?
Yeah, so I actually, maybe not a very, very helpful answer, but I use both. So what I tend to do is I'll do my makeup, setting spray first. The only thing it depends on what you're doing, obviously. I sometimes find the setting spray is really good for holding things in place. It definitely does add a layer of kind of, you know, because it sort of, you wet all the makeup again, and then it sort of helps things to blend together as well. If you've got like, you know, contour and stuff. So what I normally do is setting spray, and then once that's all dried down, I might put a little bit of setting powder on, especially areas like your nose and stuff where you get more oily. So I tend to use both. Yeah, thank you for your question. Anyone else? Any other questions? Oh, thank you.
Thanks, guys. It's been a wonderful session.
Oh,
It's been great advice. Are there any fan forums that you recommend, or any kind of fan websites you recommend for helping cosplay that you've come across during the last few years?
So I'm just going to try and remember. There is definitely at least 2 different Cosplay UK Facebook groups that I'm part of. There are Star Trek specific cosplay groups on Facebook as well. I'm not a big internet-y person. I don't go and venturing things like Reddit or things. I don't know about forums or anything like that, but especially the Instagram community kind of forms itself kind of organically as well. So it just sort of appears. Yeah, there's really good Facebook groups, and it's people talking about cosplay and makeup and selling cosplay things and different stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm I don't actually have any social media, so I'm not overly helpful on that one. But I mean, yes, I suppose through that though. I mean, for me, I suppose like you talk about like, you know, fan groups and communities and stuff. My community tends to be, you know, the people I meet at con. You know, you meet people at con, you know, like maybe, you know, you take some pictures and, you know, sort of in exchange information that way. So I think I tend to be more of a kind of in-person community person. But yeah, like you were saying, definitely if you've got any social media, most social medias, there's going to be stuff. We're everywhere. Trekkies are everywhere. Yeah, you can't escape us. We're over there. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you.
If you have any questions you see us about, come and chat to us. We're up for chats.
Super.